So being a first responder family right now is really tough. Um, I'm in Canada, and for us here, it is it's we're even feeling it up here. And yesterday in my Facebook group, there was a post that somebody um, posted, which was phenomenal. Um, and it was where they were talking about how they don't really want to go out anymore. They don't want to necessarily be out in public when they're not on shift. And they were kind of wondering if this is normal. And the people coming in supporting them saying this is absolutely normal. I'm feeling the same. I'm feeling the same. It's so there. And I myself have been feeling a lot of this recently. Um, and so I thought that I really should be popping on here today to address, um, because I hear from so many of you guys talk to me, and I hear a lot of the same things over and over again, that quite often you feel that is isolated to yourself. And I thought that maybe I should pop on today and just let you know that it absolutely isn't, that a lot of what you guys are feeling is across the board, completely across the board. So, sorry, just getting over a cold. So let's just start off with the first thing of yesterday, of talking about how not really wanting to go outside, not really wanting to just be out and about, and being a part of just a part of things when you're not on the job. And there's a couple of different reasons for that. So, and you could be in any of these camps. You could have a combination of, you could be in one of them. So let me know as well in the comments if you do fall into any of these. So the one thing is that civilians don't get it. They truly don't. And I go outside, and when my neighbors are out there, the things that I talk about with them is they want to talk about COVID and how hard it is for all of their family to be stuck inside on quarantine. And I'm like, holy crap. You know, my husband has been working out in this since the start. He's been getting spit on. He has been working ridiculous hours, overtime, not respected, and he's been totally out in it. And you're upset because your family is together all the time. You're upset because you get to go to sleep every single night and wake up together every single morning. And they just live in such a very, very different world where so much of their life, I'm envious of at times. Although I wouldn't change for the world. I love what my husband does. I love what I do. But they really, truly don't understand it. And then there's the other camp too, that is believing everything that the media has been feeding them. The media is ridiculous. As my husband keeps saying, the media has been doing such a good job. They don't understand that a lot of these Black Lives Matters groups that they are giving their money to and donating to are actually Antifa groups or other anarchist groups, Pegida, different ones. They don't understand that they are possibly Black Lives Matters groups, but ones that are illegal with criminal action. They don't understand any of this stuff. They don't understand about any of the demons, the wolves that you protect them from every single day. They don't get that. They have no idea what you truly do. Absolutely none. They had no idea what it's like for a spouse as well. I know I'm in a bunch of spouse groups, and this past week, there's been so many spouses talking about this week with the elections. They're not even talking about, it's not a conversation ever about like who's voting in and who's doing this. It's about worrying about our spouses' safety. It's their spouses being called in. They're making sure that their house is all safe. They're getting, like, our neighbors don't need to be talking about, okay, if I go missing, you can't hear me for a while. If we lose contact for a while, this is the protocol that we're going to be following. This is where you go if the house becomes unsafe. This is where I go if this happens. This is where we meet up. That is not other people's lives. That is not the life that most people live. And that is the life, that's our world. And in these spouse groups too, these wives would not change it for a world. We love our husbands. We love, sorry for those as well, where it's the female that's out there working. We love our spouses. We love you guys so much. And there's so many different dynamics that come with that as well. So there's other things that you guys talk about, but I just want you to know that are across the board right now. Ever since COVID, you guys have now have to dealt with the fact that you, yes, signed up for this job and you're putting your life on the line. But when COVID hit, you also then had to worry that you are actually risking your spouse, your family's health as well. Also, there weren't protocols. Nobody knew what the protocols were. Everybody's making them up. It's just chaos and figuring out all that out. Kind of figured that out. But then with so many officers, so many responders being out with either needing COVID testing or with COVID, there's so much manpower that we're short. So there was already tons of overtime. There were already people exhausted. The stress levels were already high. So I was already seeing more sleep issues starting. These all happen when your stress system gets built up. You get the tired and wired, you waking mid-sleep, or you are sleeping tons. But regardless of how your sleep is with all of these situations, you're waking up feeling almost hungover, needing so much, you're needing like a pot of coffee, energy drinks to just be making it through your shift, right? How many of you are pumping yourself up with more caffeine, more coffee now? And you're finding though that it's not giving you the kick that it used to. Your motivation drive is decreasing. Brain fog on paperwork is increasing. And then we add in George Floyd. When that happened, the media just turned all of that onto cops. There have been more cops injured than criminals who have been shot during arrests since George Floyd. But every time that a criminal is shot or apprehended in a way that a civilian doesn't understand or doesn't believe is possible or should happen, then that goes against us. And there's so much misunderstanding that has gone on. The media has done such a rough time with it. And then we have all of this administrative as well, where there's so many different layers to that, where you have, if I'm dealing with people that are front lines, that are exhausted, that are burnt out, that are brain fogged, that have short fuse, when you get promoted, that doesn't go away. So when you're promoted, you're now in charge of a team as well. And that comes with more stress. So you're now worried about their lives, their actions, their things, and you're answering to the people above. And when that starts happening, that's when we see an increase of stress signs. So the more that somebody goes up the level administratively, the more people they have to speak to up above, but also the more stress that they get and the more physically stressed their physical stress system gets. So you start getting somebody who may have been a really great leader, who is really, they were able to big picture think, they were able to manage teams and doing all these things. And then as they got up, they got more hypervigilant. They needed to control more. They needed to be more, they got more frustrated with things. They're shorter with people. They're not able to really even get their paperwork done and things. They're so overwhelmed. They're so exhausted themselves that they then struggle to manage their own teams. You also do get people that completely were given promotions and doing things that have absolutely no management skills whatsoever. And even if they were taught, would never get them because people were just trying to get rid of them as well. That absolutely also happens in this dysfunctional business of police services, of fire services, of first responder services. I see it all the time. So there's that happening. And then there's the burnout aspect happening. And the further you go up, the harder that gets. And the harder that people then struggle to manage everything. And then we have this defunding. We have all of these pressures now too, when you are out on the job of worrying about everything that you do want to call because of how somebody's going to spin it and what that could be doing to your family. There are so many stressors right now. on every single first responder out there, because everything that you are doing is being watched, every little thing. And when you are exhausted, when you are sleep deprived, your brain can't work, you are wondering, they're starting to question. We had a case here of an officer that ended up in the hospital because he was afraid to defend himself, because he was afraid if he did, he'd get charged and he would totally put his family through the ringer. That he ended up with injuries so bad that he ended up in the hospital in critical condition. Like, the things that are going on right now for all of you should never happen. We should not be in this place. But we can't live on the we should not be here's. We just have to proactively make sure that we are all safe. And by doing that, the first thing is to understand that if you are now at a point where you're questioning your abilities on the job because you're so exhausted, because you're losing your motivation and drive, because of the brain fog, if you're getting more frustrated with the job, I want you to know that you are not alone. I want you to know that I hear all the time of people who are feeling underappreciated, people are hearing not respected by their services. And then you have the public on top of that. It gets hard. And then at home, there's this whole thing too, because you're now working so much. I mean, Chicago, you guys haven't even got a day off since the protests. You haven't had a day off. You're working 12-hour minimum shifts. Sometimes these go into 15 hours overtime, more than that. It's not even possible, if you could sleep, to get 8 hours sleep. But how do you even spend any time with your family, doing anything? Like, your family is then taking the brunt at home. You have the family guilt, missing out on everything with your kids, your spouse taking on everything, all of it at home. That places a stress on you guys as well. It places a stress on home too, that your spouse is most likely burning out as well. Their sleep is struggling. Their motivation and drive is decreasing. They're getting more short fused. And then that just becomes this whole battle at home too, where home stops becoming your safe place. So just know that there is a reason, first, that your body is reacting this way. There are so many stresses being placed on you that are absolutely exhausting. Thanks, Jim. I just want you to know that you guys are not alone in this fight. And Jim, who's commenting on this, knows that when you are feeling at your worst, when you have no motivation and drive, when you are totally exhausted, there are things that you can be doing, that we can be helping you with, to start boosting you, giving you that energy. I know, Jim, you said you thought you were on speed the other day, just getting that energy, which probably just brought you, Jim, up to the point where you actually had maybe normal energy, or not even, because you've been depleted for so long. And that motivation and drive that we give you initially starts getting the rest of your systems working, so that you can handle all of the stress that is out of your control. And your spouses as well are able to come in to the program as well and get that support, so that you can work together as a team, understanding what's happening to each of you, understanding that your sleep is off for a reason, and probably both of your sleeps in your relationship is off for a reason. That we work with all of you guys in this program. Okay. We work with you. It works around your shifts. You can still implement things. Ask Jim. If you were working in Chicago and not getting any days off, you could still implement the program. Absolutely, you still could. It's all built towards around all of your ridiculous shifts, working on everything at a slow pace to get you there, working with your gut, your hormones, your nervous system, getting you out of that hypervigilant state so that you can start relaxing when you're at home. It is possible, but when your energy is at such a point where you are getting to where you're distancing yourself from your neighbors, from your friends, from your colleagues, that is a sign that your stress system is just friggin' taxed. It could also be that your neighbors are so out of touch with what your reality is that sometimes you do need a break from them. Like, all honesty, there's only so much I can hear from my neighbors about their reality, but there are times where I actually need to be in their reality world to get away from what is really truly going on in this world. So if any of you are feeling that you are drowning, you are overwhelmed, and you need a hand out of this, ask in the group, ask for help, ask questions if you want to know. These are simple things that Jim's just taking to work with him that are totally helping him. Jim has major gut issues. Your gut is also responsible for 90% of your serotonin, which is your happy, feel good hormone. And if your gut's not working, you don't feel good. You don't get happy. You don't have that joy. You don't feel motivated to do things. So we do. You guys are the sheepdogs. The sheep don't get it. If you guys have ever heard Lieutenant Dave Grossman, the sheepdog will often not at all understand. It's only when the wolves are coming and the sheep are literally being attacked that they see that wolf, and then they see the sheepdog go after the wolf, is when they do start actually taking care of that sheepdog. And my gut tells me that right now, people have been so shielded from the wolves for so long that with all of this defunding, the wolves are coming out. With all of this lack of support for police and the police not being able to do their job and to be protecting these sheep, that the wolves are starting to come out, that people are starting to truly see what wolves are out there that you are protecting them from. And once we need to go through a bit of this cycle, as horrible as it is, to make sure that these wolves, they do start attacking, are going to be attacking more and more sheep. And that's when they're going to start asking the sheepdog for help. And we're going to get back into a cycle. I know it in my bones. I don't know when, and it's going to go through a horrible patch first, but we're going to have to go through it until the until the sheep start understanding why the sheepdog are there and what they protect them from. They've forgotten because you guys have been doing such a good job. So know that with everything that's happening, it's because you guys have been doing a good job. And that right now, we need to be making sure, I am here to make sure that every single one of you sheepdog is taken care of. It is okay to ask for help. It is okay to make sure that you have everything that you need in your arsenal to keep your sleep on track and your stress in check, and to be calm and get that motivation and drive, get your gut back in check, get all of these things sorted so that you can, when those sheep are ready, get back in there and be there protect. I know that you're always going to be there protecting them, but when they're there supporting you, you guys can be there with all of your strength and power and everything that you have in there. So know that you are not in this fight alone. I'm here to help. You can reach out. You can private message me on Facebook. You can email me support@911lifestyle.com. We will absolutely help make sure that your stress system is strong so that you're not wondering how you're going to make it through your day. You don't have to keep pushing through every friggin' day, so that in those moments and those glimpses with your family, you can actually be there for them and enjoy it. So that when situations happen, you can react quick on the job, keep yourself and your partner safe. We are absolutely here for you. We've got your back. You are not in this alone. Reach out.